recordnya.
Okay, let's get started. First of all, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from GP and we would like to present to you about do the parents understand what the consequences will be if their child is enrolled in a regular public school. Okay. Next, our group members are Anggun Prasasti, Adina Lutfi, Eka Christine, Sheila Arista, Gadis Kunaka, Grace Nanda, Hani Arum, and Indah Anjasari. Next, our presentation will be divided into 4 points. First is the problem that occurs when inclusive education is implemented in Indonesia. Second, the problem physics and an explanation of this problem. Third, the reason we choose the problem. And the last is solution to the problem we choose. Okay, next. The problem that occurs when inclusive education is implemented in Indonesia. Okay. First cases is the teacher's preparedness to face the children with special needs. The teacher preparedness to face the children with special needs. Basically, special needs children differ from regular children. So the learning and handling they teach should also be distinguished. However, classroom teachers felt they were still poorly prepared to handle and provide learning for special needs children. The phenomenon of the children's lack of preparation for a special needs field is influenced by several factors. For example, ignorance of how to manage children with special needs well, a lack of understanding of carrying out a special guidance program for special children, a class teacher lack of acceptance to the presence of special needs children. This was thus fueled by the participation of the teachers in the training carried out by the provincial government on the treatment of special needs children. Previous teachers are just the beginning, responsible for handling the regular children. Now, must be able to master greater competence because of responsibility. Answer the larger class teacher to handle regular and special needs children. Okay, next will be explained by Anggun.
Okay, thank you, Honey. Number two is the students and all students. Okay, I will explain it about a little bit longer. So, there are some disabilities who have not been able to follow the rule, just disrupting the teaching and learning process. About 20% and regular students, problem with disabilities about 14.71%. And the last problem is appears related to the student, the number of disabilities that exceeds the quota in each class about 8.82%. The problems that appear also related to the school management started by the teachers. Schools have an already with school programs inclusions both in terms of administration and human resources. 75% the process of teaching and learning activities that has not running optimally. 17.86%. And finally, problem that arise related to the parent is the absence of the meeting program held routine with parent school 7.14%. Besides that, problems that appears related to the government stated by the teacher are attention and government concern for implementation less inclusive school 24.64%, policy related to the implementation of inclusive schools yet clear 21.74%, There is no modification special curriculum for inclusive school 20.29%, lack of training on education inclusion of teacher 18.84%, attention government towards professional staff. They support a less inclusive school both in terms of number and welfare 10.87%. The program carried out the government is not yet sustainable 2.90%, and there is no special agency to handle it. Mentoring training. So that's all about the data. And next,
The third point is bullying. Some cases of bullying occur mainly in communities, both in the social and educational world. So, to speak has had some negative effect on the victim as well as the bullies themselves. Bullying is more vulnerable in inclusive school because the number of special needs children is not comparable to the number of regular children. Special needs children is judged to be hindrance to the learning process in the classroom, which is due to its learning style are different from other normal kids and their ability to catch them sometimes lower. Duli Santi, 2015. Bullying behavior often befalls as bullying behavior often befall special needs children in an inclusive school. Verbal bullying is the most. His way consists of laughing, mocking, insulting. Whereas non-verbal behavior is when the teachers don't check out the result of labor force, whereas the institution setting was met with one goal of not discriminating against each child entitled to proper education. This bullying behavior occurs because neither teachers nor students understand the bullying behavior and the impact of such behavior. So, bullying behaviors, like most still, it is said to be common and classified in the joking category. Besides a misunderstanding of it, especially children also misrepresent the proper rendering of service to special needs children. The fourth point, parents' understanding on the consequence that high school will bring. Children with special needs have the same right as children in general for education. Before deciding to send a student to a public or formal school, however, parents need to take a child to a professional health professional. Later, psychologists will undergo a series of tests such as IQ and adaptive tests to see the character and abilities of children. When the test reveals a child's character and abilities within a short distance, he may be able to pursue public school education. However, parents need to make sure that public school where children will be educated will have a positive environment. School authorities, for example, understand how to treat special needs children and use words accordingly. If it turns out that the school can't give you the right treatment, the condition will get worse. You know, special needs children still have a need to make friends with people. But when it comes to a new environment of ostracism, special needs children condition may plummet, such as depression, extreme anxiety, frustration, and tantrums. One thing you will never forget is that Abel will need therapy from professionals who will later develop a long life program that can act as a children's intermediary through the teaching process. The way the child can optimize is it's developed from the lesson received. Many parents feel that their children have had enough therapy and eventually when children are no longer consulted, it can add adversely affect and cumulative child. Next,
Okay, Dean.
About facility for disability, every city have a draw line about the quantity of special education. In some areas, sometimes there's no special school, especially for inclusive school. So students have access to study in a special school. Then the way, and of course, the way to get study is normal school as a proper place to study. However, most of normal school has less facility for students with special needs, such as toilet, stairs, and many others. Sometimes students with special needs who live in the village prefer to not going to school since there is no inclusive school nearby. And today, government is struggling to increase the quality and quantities of the inclusive school so the student with special needs can get access to study in normal school. Besides that, government also try to improve some facilities for students with special needs. Student means there is a training but have less facility. So he has less coordination to the constructor to build those facilities for students with special needs. Eh, And about online learning, I believe in during COVID-19 pandemic, online learning to do sorry face-to-face learning system are prone to the health of students with special needs. With this distant learning activity, students with special needs can still learn and maintain their health under supervision of their respective parents. The method of writing articles use a narrative method through interview activities. The subject use the subject that used were two people, namely the teacher and the one of the student's parents. The time and the place for data collection is done feasibility and remotely. Based on the result interview, learning problems for children with special needs during coronavirus disease or COVID-19 pandemic in inclusive school, namely 1. Teacher and parents are not ready for distant learning. 2. Pa- Parental skills are lacking in accessing in the internet. 3. Feelings of boredom and arise in children makes them lazy to distance learning. Gak krungu.
Okay, the next slide, please. Okay, this is the problem, and the problem we choose an explanation about that problem. So, don't the parents understand that the consequence will be if their child is enrolled in a regular public school? So, that's the consequence are number one is educational consequence. Children with special needs cannot fully understand the material presented by the teacher. As we all know that the special children is need really hard to understand the material. Let's see that's like on the regular children might be very confused with the material, so that the special children. So I think that educational consequence will be a consequence in education that the class, the teacher, the media, the school of regular education should find a solution to this educational consequence, because special children needs really high care of us, of all of us, like that. And I found I found a reference that from www www.pendidikan inklusi dapat diterapkan di sekolah umum. And the teacher said that teacher must be able to manage the children to be active in learning process. In addition to modify learning process, inclusive education must also create a comfortable environment and be like to attract children to interact and socialize with all parts, good friends, teacher, principal, and the community. And about the social and comfortable environment, it will be explained by my friend Gadis. Now your turn.
Social consequence. Children lack confidence in socializing with classmates or teachers. Children with special needs are used by school friends in financial terms. Sometimes children with special needs dimintain duit uh, for with her friends. Jadi dia tuh bagi bagi yang special needs itu mampu, biasanya bakal dimanfaatin gitu kalau di sekolah dasar, sekolah negeri seperti itu. Next.
Okay, the reason why we choose this problem. We choose this problem because there are around 993,000 students with special needs in Indonesia according to the 2018 Dapodik data. So we think that whether all of them have parents who are responsive to the child's condition, especially in terms of education. Based on the Journal of Inclusion Education, Volume 3, Number 2 of 2020, parents are still worried about several aspects in implementing inclusive education for children with special needs, as well as considering the positive and negative impacts their children will receive. So, next, Villa.
Okay, other problems that probably arose. Inclusive education or inclusive school is more expensive than regular school because of its special costs, and not all families coming from the same economic condition. Therefore, some families who come from low class who has low class economy, they just send their children to a regular school, even though their children should receive separate treatments than other normal children. This can cause problems for the younger siblings themselves in the academics of the younger children and their social life. The prone to bullying in the regular school environment means that regular school may actually have a prolonged traumatic impact of bullying on the life of the children with special needs.
Okay. Uh, is the solution to the problem faced. First is providing socialization to parents and the parents of students with special needs. The aim of this program is that parents of students are able to understand the importance of including their children with special needs in formal schools so that they can mingle with others. They can learn and work together without feeling different between uh, special needs and normal students. Also, given some of the consequences that will be received by students with special needs if they attend formal schools by providing some solutions as well. Okay, the second is provide a routine consultation program. The purpose of this program is to monitor the progress and development of students with special interest in the learning process. This includes the socialization process of these students with the surrounding environment such as teachers and friends, the process of teaching and learning activities, and etc. So that the teachers and parents can find out the abilities of their special needs students and take appropriate action. Parents are advised to try to place their children with special needs in a well-educated environment so that children with special needs are treated the same as others whom may need it without being differentiated. Besides that, it can also help children with special needs to feel that they are as valuable as other children.
Okay, thank you so much. That's all our presentations about the problem that occurs when inclusive education is implemented in Indonesia, the problem we choose, and an explanation of this problem, the reason we choose the problem, and the solutions to the problem we choose. We will be happy if there is any questions or suggestion related to the material we presented. We are from Group B members. Say thank you and we apologize for all our mistakes in speaking and explaining our material. Thank you so much. And we really need your feedback. We really need your feedback from Mr. Hassan and for your friends. Thank you.
Jadi kali
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.